into the Clutch Report. I am your host, Jamal Bethia. So last night, the Memphis Grizzlies defeated the Dallas Mavericks, who continued to slide, unfortunately, 122-111. Ja Morant had 31 points and 8 assists, big. Desmond Bane, 27 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, big. And Brandon Clark had 17 points and 8 rebounds. I'm good to see him back healthy and contributing. On Dallas' side, Brandon Williams, a guy who doesn't get necessarily as many minutes, obviously with all of the injuries he's been on the court. He had 31, 5, and 6, big. Najee Marshall, who unfortunately looked like he might have sustained some kind of nagging day-to-day injury in this game. Another injury for Dallas. He had 29 and 17, which was really big. Klay Thompson had 15 points, but he only did it on 6 and 19 shooting, which is 31%. The reason I really wanted to talk about this game is for two reasons. I think, number one, Memphis has started to slide a little bit. They were second for a while. I think Memphis is probably, looking at the standings, Memphis is fourth right now. They're 39 and 24. So they're not completely out of the race, for one of the better teams in the Western Conference. And, I mean, if we're really talking about playoffs, I'm not really sure where Memphis would necessarily rank or what people see them doing in the playoffs. I know the last time we really saw them be significant, they lost in the first round in 6 games to the much lower seeded Lakers. And I kind of feel the same way about the Memphis Grizzlies, but I feel like with them sitting on the cusp of their 40th win of the season, I think we're going to have to start talking about them a little more. And I think they've kind of been out of the spotlight this year. And I think that's been a really good thing for Ja Morant in particular. He's had a really couple of hard years of PR, some really bad mistakes in the public, and then some injuries. And, come back from injury and then get injured again. So I think they're in a great situation to technically be kind of underrated, under the radar. Desmond Bane is playing great basketball this year. He just is. He continues to impress. He continues to get better year by year. And he continues to prove why Memphis really believes in him. So I think that the Memphis Grizzlies are in their sweet spot. Right now, you have 3 teams in the Western Conference that have 40 wins or more, being the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Denver Nuggets. And then you have the Grizzlies with 39, and you have the Rockets with 38. The Rockets actually were as high as number 2 this year, and they've slid all the way down to 5th, proving that basically they're still kind of a young team. Much better season than we've seen the last however many umpteen seasons out of the Rockets. I think, unfortunately, the debacle that dismayed Ime Udoka as Boston's coach kind of made him perfect for the Rockets, because it doesn't mean he can't coach. It just means he couldn't coach there. So now he's in Houston. He's done an excellent job with those guys. He's turned those young guys around. I mean, they do have a lot of talent. I mean, Jalen Green, Jabari Smith. You even got Whitmore, who's playing really good off the bench. So, I mean, the Rockets, it makes sense why it seems like at some point, if you got guys who are young and a coach who has the right strategy and the patience to kind of work with them over time, you can really start to see them become better. But of course, like I said, the Grizzlies have 39 wins, are sitting right there. The Nuggets are 41 and 22. The Lakers are 40 and 21. They have a 1-game lead. And then, of course, the Oklahoma City Thunder are second in the entire league with their record. They are 52 and 21. Let's actually look at the playoff picture as it pertains basically to just right now. The Lakers have a big game against the Celtics tonight. I think the Celtics will handle business there. To me, they're still the best team in the league. But if everything stopped today and the playoffs started today, you'd be looking at the Thunder facing either the Kings or the Mavericks, and I think that's a walk of a series either way. You're looking at the Lakers facing the Timberwolves or the Clippers. I feel like the Clippers would be a little more of a competitive series than the Timberwolves, to be honest. But I still think that's a walk either way. Then you have the Grizzlies and the Rockets, and then you have the Nuggets, and you have the Warriors. Here's the truth. I'm not sure if we really have talked about this. The Nuggets might not make it out of that series with the Warriors. And I only say that because, I mean, what are the Warriors? 11 and 1 in their last 12 games. Jimmy Butler's averaging over 20 points. Mr. I don't care if I score. Like, you got to score in order to win games. Stephen Curry, I mean, what can we say about the guy, right? He continues to impress, he continues to improve, and he continues to show and prove why the Warriors knew they needed to make a move to really get him some help, because he's still in his championship competing window. But I think that's a very interesting series. The Nuggets, to me, are kind of lacking the supporting cast that they once had. Losing Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, losing Bruce Brown. Yeah, they went out and got Russell Westbrook, and but my question really is, if you look at the defensive strategy that the Lakers employed to beat the Nuggets, I think the issue is, if Jokic is being denied the ball, who has the consistent go-to ability to really pick up the slack? In the last game the Lakers played against them, Jokic took his 7th and final shot of the game with like 6 minutes left in the second quarter. So for the next 2.5 quarters, he really didn't take a shot besides probably foul shots. That's extremely alarming. Now, the Nuggets are going to respond. The Lakers play them again in a few days. So it's not going to go like that the next time. Don't get me wrong. But the point is, I'm not sure the Warriors have the personnel to do the same thing, to be honest. But I do feel like the Warriors have more of a myriad of talent, from top to bottom. That's going to be a very interesting series. I think the Grizzlies-Rockets series, I would pick the Grizzlies in that series. I would pick the Grizzlies in that series going away. I'm probably going to say 5. I think that's a 5-game series. Nuggets-Warriors has the potential to go 7. I think that's a 7-game series in my opinion. So just looking at the playoff picture, I just wanted to look at that. Even if we swing over to the Eastern Conference, right now the Cavs, 53-10. They're having the best record. They only have a 1-game lead over the Thunder, but the point is, they're just blowing everybody away this year. And I think the Cavs need a little more attention. Last year they had a really good record. Same thing as the Thunder. Really good record, and then they lost in the second round. I think the Cavs ended up losing. I'll check this, but I think they lost in the second round as well. I don't think they made the Eastern Conference Finals. But the point is, the Cavaliers, to me, need a little more attention this season. I think they're a little different of a team. They've won 13 in a row. They beat the Celtics last week after coming back from down in that game. You know what I mean? So right now, if the Cavaliers are the number 1 seed, they would be facing the winner of Orlando, Chicago. Again, that's a walk going away. Then it would be the Bucks and the Pacers. That's a grindhouse series, but I'm going to give that to the Bucks going away. I'm going to say 5 or 6. The Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton hasn't been the same this year, and I don't think that they are as quite a threat as they were last year. And they only made the Eastern Conference Finals, let's be honest, because the Knicks had 4 injuries, and that kind of dismayed the Knicks season last year. If we look, this next series, this Knicks-Pistons series. Now, of course, if Jalen Brunson is going to miss significant time, that could actually be an upset. That series could be an upset. But I honestly think it'll be entertaining. That series is going to go at least 6. I'm not sure I would have ever told myself or anybody else I'm going to watch a playoff series with the Pistons, because it's been a long time since they've been in the playoffs. So, the coach of the Pistons should absolutely be in the running for coach of the year. And they're not, the Pistons are not like a game over 500. They're like 5, 6, 7, 8 games over 500. Cade Cunningham is starting to look like an all-star. Next season, if they can continue what they've built on, he's going to be an all-star. Jaden Ivey's right behind him. Isaiah Stewart, to me, is kind of Draymond Green-esque. A lot of beef, a lot of, and that's fine, but he's a really good player. Jalen Duren holding down the middle, rebounds. He got some poster dunks this year, some dunk of the year, candidate type of dunks. So I think the Pistons are a team to watch. I honestly think the Pistons might be a big free agent splash away from really being a serious contender next season. The next series is not even really one to talk about. It's the Celtics versus the Heat or the Hawks. And when you hear me say this team or that team, I'm talking about play-in. So the Heat versus the Hawks is going to be the play-in game. Right now, that's what they're looking at. They're looking at the winner of that game. Okay. The Celtics are going to win that going away. If you ask me, the Celtics are still the team to beat in the East and in the league, just to be perfectly honest. So, I got the Celtics going away in that. All right, going back to the Mavericks, though. I wanted to hone in on the Mavericks a little more. I think we've all have seen what has happened with them. The Luka Dončić, trade, and just everything that has really happened to them since then. So, the Mavericks season to me right now is really in shambles. And I say that because over the last 20 games, they're 8-12. They were 24-20. Now they're 32-32. And they're just going to continue to slide. They've shut everybody down for this year. Don't even try to get them back healthy. Get them healthy for next season. And I agree with that. I think that makes sense. You cannot rush injuries. Do not do it. Rushing injuries is nonsensical, especially when you have the amount of injuries that the Mavericks have. I mean, Anthony Davis, Anthony Davis, adductor strain. Derek Lively II, stress fracture. Kyrie Irving, torn ACL, unfortunately. Daniel Gafford, MCL sprain. Those four guys right there is your whole team. If they were healthy, we would have something to say about the Mavericks playoff-wise this season. If the Mavericks even remain in the playoffs. This is honestly as of right now. They're 32-32. We don't even know how they're going to look over the next 20 games, to close the season. What is this? 32-32, 64. Okay, the next 18 games. We don't even know what the next 18 games are going to even look like. I think they're going to continue to slide. But, of course, they traded Luka. And, I mean, to be honest, Nico Harrison is an executive. I mean, he earned his right to have that job. I don't know about that trade. You're worried about Luka's health, or what they said was his health and his work habits and, drinking beers and doing this, that, and the other. But Anthony Davis is 7 years older and injury prone. I don't know if I understand that trade. I understand the maybe needing to feel like you need to make a big splash, but Luka just took the Mavericks to the finals literally last year. They got walked in that series by a much better Boston team, but the point is they just went to the finals. You don't want to try to work with Luka. I mean, Luka had just bought a house in Dallas. And Anthony Davis, of course, recently in the last couple of years bought a house in LA, and then they got swapped. And, that hurts because it's like, Luka thought he had a home in Dallas. He thought he was going to be a Maverick for life, similar to what Dirk Nowitzki did. And all of that to basically end up getting traded. And it's just like, wow, okay. If you're Luka, it's kind of like, well, damn. You know what I mean? And I think that's the crazy part because the Mavericks reportedly called the Lakers. And we're like, hey, how about AD for Luka? I'm pretty sure the Lakers were like, hell yeah, go ahead, that's fine. Because now you've put one of the youngest best passers in the league next to one of the oldest best passers in the league. So people are like, yeah, we got to see how it works. You have two of the highest IQ players together, and you think it would take a long time to work? Come on. The Lakers have won 8 straight. They beat the Knicks. Jalen Brunson getting hurt in overtime helped them win that game, but they've won 8 straight. The Lakers have literally vaulted all the way to second in the Western Conference. The only team I think the Lakers need to fear in the postseason really is the Thunder, in my opinion. I don't think anybody else has like championship makeup this season. I think the Nuggets are struggling from lack of supporting cast. I think the Warriors honestly are struggling from maybe not having a third weapon. Steph and Jimmy is dangerous, but when you're talking about the Lakers right now, even Rui Hachimura is not even healthy. But you're talking about Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, LeBronJames, Luka Dončić. You're talking about the Warriors, you're really talking about Steph and Jimmy. And while the Steph and Jimmy is amazing, and that's going to get them into the playoffs, I think the Warriors, right now the Warriors are sitting, where are they? They're 6th, right? I think that they could vault as high as 3 or 4. So don't get me wrong, they're a really good team. And when Jimmy first went, I wasn't sure it would work because Golden State is typically an outside-in type of team. Jimmy's not a great shooter. He can make jump shots, but Steph's a knockdown shooter. And what made them dangerous was Steph and Klay. You had to worry about both of them. You know what I mean? People don't seem to understand that. And then when Kevin Durant went there, Kevin has the ball, and you still got to worry about Steph and Klay, the both of them. So now you're worried about a three-headed monster. Klay Thompson obviously hadn't been that the last season, including, what was it, a 0-10 showing, which is why I think the Mavericks were like, yeah, we'll keep you, but I'm sorry. We love you, your family, but this is business, and we're not going to offer you so much money. Klay felt slighted, and I totally understand that. But getting Jimmy filled a big hole because Jimmy Butler, to me, top 2, 3 two-way players in the league. Going away. Like, I'm going to maybe score 20, but you're going to score about 10. Got it? All right, let's do this. And I feel like that's Jimmy Butler. But I thought they were going to get somebody who more of a splash type of player. But it has worked thus far. I think the Warriors, to me, have always kind of eluded getting a big man. Like, James Wiseman was one of those best player left in the draft, so just take him. But he really wasn't what they needed. You know what I mean? I think they needed like Daniel Gafford or Andre Drummond or Clint Capella. I'm talking archetype, not necessarily player. Honestly, even Bam Adebayo. Getting Jimmy out of Miami was great, but I would have tried to get Jimmy and Bam. Give me Jimmy and Bam. You can have Draymond, you can have Moody, you can have Podzimski, and I'll give you 3 draft picks. Give me both of them. because that would have changed some things. I'm telling you, that would have been dangerous. Steph, Bam, and Jimmy, and I might have called them title contenders this year. I'm serious. That would have been crazy. And truth be told, in the offseason, Golden State should still call Miami back. Hey, look, uh, how's Bam nowadays? Him and Pat Riley having any issues? Like, you feel the need to get him out of there? You know what I'm saying? We'll take him. We'll take him. We'll help you guys out. We'll take him off your hands. Smack my microphone. I'm just saying that would be to me a big like, oh, the Warriors are back. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because I think the Warriors have always missed somebody in the middle. That's to me been their gaping hole. The Timberwolves have been predictably disappointing this year. And I say that because Karl-Anthony Towns, I still don't understand that trade. Julius Randle to me is a good talent, not a great one, and he's not a team fit kind of talent. He needs the ball and the ball he needs. And I feel like, Karl-Anthony Towns, for all of the maybe he isn't the leader we need, or maybe he isn't the number one guy all the time, I feel like he fit the mold of the Timberwolves better, especially since Anthony Edwards has shown up and shown that he was truly number one guy-esque. And, I feel like, so they've been trying to figure out the chemistry in Minnesota, while in New York, I mean, against the Lakers the other day, Cat was 3 of 13. And I talked about that in another video. He has to do better when it comes to big games. You know what I mean? Big games mean something. But at the end of the day, he's the kind of guy that will go along with the go along. And in certain settings, that works. You know what I'm saying? He's one of those guys. He lost to LA because he kind of went along with the went along in New York. But in Minnesota, he would have been perfect. So I just don't understand that trade. I really don't. But to be honest, if I was the Knicks, I might have tried to get Naz Reid. Give me Naz Reid and Nickeil Alexander-Walker for Julius Randle. I think that would have been better for the Knicks, because since Julius Randle has been out, I mean, Naz Reid's averaging like 20 and 11. He's screaming starter. He's just screaming starter on a consistent basis. Start me. You know what I mean? So Timberwolves have continued to slide. That's why I'm like, I don't see them. I don't think they'll beat the Clippers, to be honest, to get out of the play-in. But if they do and get to the Lakers, I think the Lakers are going to get them out of there. I just feel bad for Mavericks fans, because you went from bad to worse to bad to worse to worser. I know worser is not a word, but that's really what happened. Bad to worse to worser. First, we're going to trade Luka. Everybody was like, who signed off on this? What? You know what I mean? And then Anthony Davis comes and he completely beasts out of control in game one and gets hurt in the same game, and he hasn't been back since. Proving like, if Anthony Davis was 25 like Luka, okay. All right. He's 32. I honestly feel like he was balling this season, but he's injury prone. This is literally who he is. Like, Anthony Davis to me is one of the more injury riddled, I wish it wasn't that way players I've ever honestly seen. He's so injury riddled. That's the thing about this trade. You traded a guy who you think has bad habits but took you to the finals last year, for a guy who, health-wise, his best days are behind him. Let's just face it. If Anthony Davis was 100% healthy, this trade makes total sense. I don't think it makes sense when he's injury prone. The last 2 years with the Lakers, he had played 70 games. He was healthy. Give him his credit. He worked hard to be out there, and he looked great. But the problem with players like that is they're always prone to getting hurt. Kyrie Irving had a leg injury, knee injury, I think, maybe an ankle injury in college. He's another one, been extremely injury prone. But Kyrie is big money. For him to go down with an injury, I think is really what spelled just like, defeat. Because, Derek Lively getting hurt and then Gafford getting hurt, you were already missing your bigs. Like, can you honestly imagine, like, Kyrie Irving, Max Christie, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, Najee Marshall. Like, they would be so deep if they were healthy. And I think that's what hurts watching the Mavericks, because it's just like, damn, if you guys could stay healthy, this is, again, a potential finals team. I really think so. They could go back to the finals, right? But since you traded Luka and since those injuries, they're 8-12. All they've done is slide. And given Anthony Davis's injury history, I have to really question what Nico Harrison was thinking. He's a GM and I'm not. I'm not sitting here acting like I am. However, I am a fanalist. I do analyze. And I just wonder what did you see? Like, okay, we need somebody like him. Sure, but he's injury prone, you know? And so I just feel bad for the Mavericks. I feel bad for Mavericks fans. I don't know. I just don't know. You know what I mean? I hope for the best for the Mavericks, and if they can get healthy, next season might be something. They might show us something next season. This has been the Clutch Report, and I'm Jamal Bethia. Peace.